So while I got published on YouTube, this video over here in the corner about how to grow a small trading account. Now this has been a few years ago, and back then I was trading for an investor. I had different strategies that I have now, slightly different, pretty much the same. But I've since been able to grow my account to around $500,000 in capital by my own money. In this video I'll share with you how I did it, some tips to get there, and how you can do the same. So I really believe in the principle I shared in this video here because I did the same thing, and this is what helped me to grow my capital to around $500,000 now. More or less, I have an account that I use for investing more long-term. I have an account that I use for more sort of like day trading. I have an account for algos. I have an account for crypto on the side, which is a very small amount compared to the other accounts. But all these combined kind of come close to around $500,000, which is a good number. I really believe in what I said in that video though. So how did I get there? Well, it's quite simple. The first step is I traded for investors. So back when I started to trade, back when I was going full-time, there was no prop firm available. Prop firm were not a thing at all back then. You could pay for getting a seat and getting capital and being able to trade for a firm, and they would charge you $5,000 to basically cover your losses for $5,000. And they will give you capital for that. But the maximum you could lose, and that was the amount you paid for, is $5,000. So that was way too much for me at that time. And the way I did it is by finding an investor, which I kind of came across randomly one day. And I'll leave a video link in the corner here, which is an old video at that time, very cringy, but that talks about how I met the investors. I started to trade at that time with $70,000 roughly. Every single month I would save some of my profits, most of them, and I would keep them on the side so that I could reinvest in my own account over time. As that account grew and as the investor gave me more capital, that's when things started to really get a good start. And that's when I decided to go full-time eventually, while still trying to save money every month from the returns I was making to put in my own account over time. Now that's only the first part. The second part is, of course, I had some jobs over time. I worked pretty much all the time I was in university, had a few internships that lasted a few months that I was paid for full-time at that time. And all that money, basically, I was able to save it. I barely spent $1,000 a month that time, and that was really like on a good month. This is back in 2016. I was living with my parents. I was spending a bit of money on transport, a bit of money on fuel, a bit of money in food, and that was pretty much it. And I followed this principle, which is the same one I talk about in the video, of every single month, no matter what I was doing, no matter how much money I earned, I would always save a fraction of these returns, these profits from jobs, from trading, from everything else, to then reinvest into my own trading. Now this is back in 2016, but ever since 2016, which man is like 8 years ago, I did the same thing every month. I would earn some money every month. That amount of course varied because I had different jobs, different things. I was trading, which is never the same amount. I would earn it and I would break it down into different categories. Some part I would spend. At the beginning, this was around 60% of my income because the fact that my income was small. I was making $2,000 a month on a good month, and I couldn't afford to spend less than 60% of my income for the simple fact of it's not that much money, it's $2,000 a month. As this number grew and become bigger and bigger and bigger over time, then I started to, these are the zeros, these are making bigger, that's the example. Then I started to reduce that number. So this went down to 40% eventually, okay, over time. Now it's more like closer to around 20%. So every month I'm able to just spend 20% of what I earn. So every month I'm able to spend just 20% of what I earn. And with the rest, I do what follows here. Well, first of all, I would save some of it. I would save some of it because it's important to have a fund for emergencies. Something that you can keep and that I still have these days, where if I don't make any money for 6 months, even a year, I'll be fine. I will not be in any kind of trouble. So it's for an emergency fund or some kind of saving, which you can invest very passively, but you don't have to touch it. You don't like really do anything with it. You can take it off very easily. You can use it very fast if you need to. That's what it's for. Now this will only be about 10% of my income that I save for this. Why? Well, because I care about growing my money. I don't want to just save it and keep it in the bank. I want to grow it, which in the next step, I would try to save and invest. Okay, at least a good 20%, 30% of my income minimum. Now, again, this is a number that over time should change. At first, it was 30% when I was making $2,000 a month, right? So on that, I would try to spend 60%. I would try to save 30%, and I would use the 10% for saving as emergency funds. Now, over time, it's a lot different. Now I can afford to save and reinvest around 50% of my income these days. So on everything that I earn, I can save at least half of it. And I've broken it down into I save for two things. I save very passively too. This goes mostly into my investing account. Like when I just invest for long term, it's very passive. I just buy some ETFs, just buy some stocks, leave it there for a while. I can go in and out sometimes, but this is also part of my trading. It's investing passively. And the other chunk goes into active, which is quite simply for trading. So I use this for trading my algos. I use this for trading cryptos, which I don't do a lot of, but let me in the comment section below if you want to see more videos on how to do cryptos and things I do. Very, again, simple, very simple stuff. Happy to do a video on that if you want, but it's only a small part of my account. This is a very tiny part. And of course with that, I swing trade, which is here the biggest chunk, roughly around 200K now, more or less. Okay, and algos is around somewhere like 170, I think, maybe a little bit less with the drawdown. Maybe somewhere around, gonna put 150 to keep it simple. That's kind of where we are. So you can see how this plays out. Okay, I've got a investing account. By the way, investing is around now, I think it's 230K or something. This is where it's at now. I have these different accounts where I put some money. I have, of course, other smaller accounts where I just like have fun with them sometimes, where I put maybe $5,000 or $3,000, just kind of trade on different things I'm testing. These are not part of it. This is just part of things that I use to really trade and make a living. And that's basically it. Now, I've summarized this quite a bit here. If you go back and watch the video I've done in the past, which is going to be linked again here in the corner, just check it out. I went a bit more in depth into this. I have different categories. I talk about how to invest in your education. Very key point, because you want to become better. I spend a lot of money in programs, courses, some coaches if I can, to help me get better in trading, in business, in health, in everything I do. That is a very key part. Now, I'm keeping it simple here for you guys, but this is how I'm able to grow my account. Do this for 8 to 10 years, and you will get to an account that's roughly around 500,000. Again, it depends on how you do things and what you do on the side, and like how much exactly you earn, how much exactly you spend. All these things are a different factor for different people. But just to keep things in perspective here, if you were to earn around $80,000 a year, which is a decent salary, someone with a good education, good job could probably earn that easily. These days, probably even more. And you were to just save this amount we talked about before, 30% a year that you save on this, only this, right? We don't do anything else. That would mean you save around $24,000 a year. Do this over 80 years. If your salary didn't change, if things didn't change, you didn't kind of go up, didn't get any promotions, you have around $192,000 saved up from your job for trading directly over 8 years. That's not bad. That's a lot of money. Then if you combine this with trading for prop firms, you combine this with earning more money over time, maybe having a side hustle, all these things combined can make it way, way bigger than this and can make it to around $500,000 easily. Okay. Again, we're not looking at the exact number here. We're looking more at a way to get there over time. These numbers here, of course, on my account are not exact. I'm sharing with you kind of big key figures. I don't look at my account every day. I don't keep track of it every day. I don't look at it even every month. I look at it on a quarterly basis to see how I'm doing. And I know that if I have a good system with a good capital and a good risk management, with a good mindset, of course, then I'm able to grow that money over time and become better. Could be that a month trading is down, could be that a month investing is down, but these things combined together make it that I'm able to earn a good living. And I'm able to save up a lot of returns, reinvest it into my business and do other things with it. And that's how my account grew to where it is today. Now, if you got any questions, post them in the comment section below. I need your thoughts as always. Any comments on this? I know people are not gonna like to hear about money. They're gonna feel pissed off or bad because they don't have this amount of money necessarily, and that's okay. Understand that I started way before that, and I also started trading with around $5,000 in my account, very little, but I've been able to save up and really be more disciplined with my money to get here to where I am today. Hopefully you can do the same. Make sure you subscribe to the day yet. I will publish these videos here on YouTube 3 times a week, and I'll catch you back here in the next video pretty soon. Ciao.